Welcome into the 96th episode of the Sabremetrix podcast. My name is Bill. Alongside me, as always, is Walt. Walt, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Enjoying some Olympic hockey so far. First time with NHLers and seems like forever at this point.
Yes, finally a little best on best action that isn't the four nations. Really excited for that. I like the Olympics a lot. Really big into curling when that comes up. But yeah, we're doing a little double feature here. We've been away for a little bit. Our schedules just didn't sync up all that well, so we've been off a little bit longer than we planned. So one episode, we're just going to talk Olympics, and yes, there has been a game played for each team, but there's still a lot of the tournament to go, and what you're seeing, what you're looking forward to seeing, and just kind of some of the differences between international hockey and your everyday NHL hockey. And then our second episode that we will be recording after this one, and we were recording this Thursday the 12th around 7:45 8 p.m. We will have a Sabres only episode as well. Pretty much that's it for housekeeping. There's more that I can ramble on about that. But Walt, there's only been one game for each team played. But how are you liking not only the game on the ice, but the atmosphere, what you've seen of the arena, any other Olympic stuff that you wanted to go off of, but just a baseline. What do you think so far?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just starting with that first game between Slovakia and Finland, uh, just the crowd was really into it. It was cool to see like a European type atmosphere at
Yeah.
these games because I feel like the crowd was like I was maybe like playoff level atmosphere at the Four Nations. I didn't think it was anything like crazy though, especially not like anything we see in some of these big time European hockey matches. So it's cool to see that type of energy being brought over for like some of the other teams' games. I also think it's really cool too to see like even some team like Germany, like seeing them with like Dreisaitl, Stutzla, Paterka, Moritz Seider, and even a team like Switzerland too. I mean, you got Heischer, Yossi, uh, and just seeing like these other nations. I think that was something we were really missing with the four nations.
Yeah.
Was that if it's just U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland, it's just kind of boring. It's fun to see some like these underdog nations come in. Like we saw Slovakia underdogs against Finland. I mean, they handed
Mhm.
them a pretty good loss there, a 4-1 win for the Slovaks in that game. And then just thinking about that Sweden Italy game too. I mean, Italy kept it close with Sweden for a while despite
Yeah.
getting outshot like crazy. So
Yeah.
I I think I really like seeing like these smaller nations and even some that have a good amount of NHLers be able to compete with these top nations that we saw at the Four Nations.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be plenty of talk throughout this episode talking about the United States, Canada, Finland, and Sweden. So maybe we can just kind of talk about maybe some of the other teams just to kind of not get them out of the way, but I agree with the whole like it's cool to see a team like Italy stick it out for as long as they do. Or Latvia is always a tough out. And yes, the US were able to finally, beat them 5-1. But we saw it before where they get a really hot goaltender and a team that really believes that, we can play with this team for 60 minutes kind of stuff. And obviously the United States has that history with the Miracle on Ice and that banger of a movie. So it's just like you're mentioning, it's great to have those four nations playing against each other best on best in that scenario. But just having those it's weird to say like a mid-tier nation when it comes to hockey, your Germany, Switzerland. It's cool to see how Switzerland has progressed over the years as well, and how Germany has. Um, Obviously Italy getting in as the host nation, that's fine, but France getting into the Olympic Games. That's really cool. Slovakia beating Finland. Bet they wish they had Consta Helenus. It's
Yeah,
it's just such a different. We just haven't seen it for so long, and so just kind of getting yourself into the mindset of. It's always interesting to me as well how we're so focused on all of these players for these nations that play in the NHL, but then you have teams bringing in guys that play in European leagues and seeing how they mesh in with the team as well. So I wanted that to lead me into the differences between international play and the NHL because I think a lot of people on a baseline can see some of those nations that aren't as good, like a Latvia or a France, whatever it might be, they might have more chemistry though, because it isn't essentially like an all-star team. And I understand teams like the United States got away from that, didn't not bringing Hudson or Caulfield, and Canada bringing a Tom Wilson. You can understand that teams are starting to get away from that a little bit. But what do you see not only in the Olympic Games, but in international hockey in general that is different than the NHL in that kind of realm that I was talking about?
I saw today where they're kind of like the two rule books between the NHL and double IHF are both pretty similar right now. I really think the difference between the two is really just how the refs call penalties, because we've seen so many NHL games, especially in the playoffs, where the refs just swallow their whistles and don't really follow the rule book at all. It's really all up to the ref's discretion whether or not he's going to follow the rule book or not. I think with these Olympics going on the IIHF rules, I think you're seeing a lot more like stricter enforcement on some calls. I still think like the coaches challenges and that stuff, it reminds me too much of the NHL. Like some of the ones, like the one we saw today with that goal
Yeah.
interference call against the US, it's like that just gives me like PTSD from some of the earlier Sabres
Zach
games where
Benson.
yeah,
Yes.
where Benson would get called for like brushing against a goalie and then 5 seconds pass and the puck goes in. So
Yeah.
so I really think, just the main difference is just how the refs actually call penalties in Olympic hockey, it seems like, compared to the NHL where they can just swallow their whistles for an entire game.
This is something that I've actually kind of I didn't know how to approach this. This was definitely going to be like an off-season topic I was going to ask you about, but just a theoretical NHL neutral site games. And that's kind of, I understand this is international hockey, but it's kind of like a neutral site game in a little bit. Yes, you heard some like USA chants, and I think there's some Canada chants as well. I haven't been able to watch all of these games in their entirety with all that much focus. I'm working during them and been taken out of the chin at work. But does that kind of play into it a little bit too? It's like, you're unfamiliar with, the environment and everything like that. And I understand once the puck drops, hockey's hockey, but each team is kind of having that level playing surface of like, this is a new experience for both of us, and whoever can kind of just come together as a team better. And I'm just, again, we're Sabres fans. We're cheering for the underdog kind of from our DNA. So I'm talking about like what we saw versus Finland, Slovakia, or like, can Italy get a win against Switzerland? I had the groups pulled up. But
Yeah,
do you understand
yeah.
what I'm trying to like get at? Is that does that make it more likely is what I'm trying to get at?
Well, yeah. Well, I do think like, I mean, North American hockey is really the only place where they don't really value like international hockey amongst their professional players. Like a lot of these guys on these countries like Slovakia and these other countries, like they're playing like in season like international games with like their international teams. So a lot of the depth on the lineup that are non like North American pro guys are kind of used to this. And even the world championships too, like with that European schedule, it lines up much better with the world championships at the end of every season, because at the NHL, a lot of guys are still playing playoff hockey, or they don't really prioritize it. Like in Europe, a lot of the leagues are over by the time that tournament starts. So these guys have experience playing together in that tournament as well. So yeah, I do think it does play a role. And it's like, I feel like hockey's a sport where you can be the worst team on a night and still come out with a win. So like a single elimination tournament, once we get to the playoffs in this thing, I mean, chaos could definitely take place. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And then even if you lose in the group stage, with the
Yeah.
seeding and whatnot, that could really push you in a rough spot if you lose a game you're supposed to win.
I'm looking at Finland's thing right here. I was also right about the France Switzerland thing, not to brag or anything, but the
Yeah,
like that Slovakia win, it's a 4-1 win too. Like that's, yes, Italy's
yeah,
kind of like your walkover team there, but they're gonna, that Finland Sweden game. Oof, expect
yeah.
Finland to come out hard for that one. Big
Yeah,
time.
6 a.m. game tomorrow morning. So, or
I don't know.
I don't know
I
when
don't
this
know how I'm
episode's coming out, but Friday morning. So
Yeah, so yeah, this is I guess
So I mean, will that
oh
game
man.
probably be?
I guess we'll probably have to release it tonight. Yeah. I guess we'll just release it
Yeah.
late tonight and hope people can listen to it in the morning. And then the Sabres one I'll release tomorrow, I guess. Again, we're recording Thursday the 12th. Ahead of the games on Friday the 13th. Let me
Yeah, I mean,
see
the
a
one
few.
thing I actually just saw this just scrolling on Twitter, like the apparently the gold medal game I think is at like 8 a.m. on a Sunday. Like I was just thinking about like in terms of using this to grow like the sport. I mean, I know the Olympics obviously doesn't care if hockey grows as a sport, but I've always
Right.
seen it like an argument of why NHLers should go. Like just with the time format compared to North
Yeah.
America, like I can't imagine many people that aren't already hockey fans are like tuning in during a work day to watch like a US Latvia game. Like you probably have to be a
Dude.
diehard hockey fan to watch this stuff.
Yeah, like for me, I had it on and I was trying to watch it when I could, but it was really just listening. And then if you kind of heard the voice of the play by play, that what was it, Kenny Albert, then you kind of like look down. But I was just, you know, got bills to pay and got to keep my job. So, yeah, when it
Yeah.
comes when it comes to the Olympic start times, I was always worried about this, no matter what, just because it is over in Italy, and that just you're watching Premier League soccer that starts at 3 p.m. at 10 a.m. Your time, and so just kind of naturally something that would happen. Seeing that it's at 8 a.m. on a Sunday as for the final is a little. You just think of any kind of finals for any kind of major sport is always going to be at night. Or even in the evening out there, maybe like a 4 p.m. start out there, which is like a 9 p.m. start out here or something like that.
Yeah.
If it's 5 hours, it might be 6 if I'm not mistaken, but I you know, do we wanna maybe talk about, like, the format or, just kind of how they set up the arena? Did you have any thoughts on that? Because that's kind of part of it, is how they've set up the tournament in general. Do you have any qualms about what you've seen or heard of anything? I know people were worried about things not being ready, but
Yeah, I mean, I think the arena's fine, the format's fine. I think, yeah, I really like what we just brought up. I think the schedule is just like probably the worst part. Like looking at it now, like the bronze medal games like the Saturday before 2 p.m. Eastern time, and the gold
which
medal games on Sunday at 8:10 a.m. Eastern
yeah, like
time. So
2 p.m. is like a perfect time, you know?
yeah, and I'm
Kids are
thinking about all the
downtown, they
West
have
Coast
yeah.
fans too. Like if you're in Vancouver, Canada's in the gold medal game. Are these all these people gonna wake up at 5 in the morning on a Sunday?
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, they probably would, but I mean, it's still like a pain to have to do that for.
you don't wake up at 5 a.m., you just don't go to bed,
Yeah.
Walt. You just don't go to bed. An all-night rager that gets capped off
Yeah.
with, Canada hopefully winning the gold for those people out west,
Yeah.
or the United States, or, nice United States versus Canada game. Alright, I've been beating around the bush to start talking about the big teams that people are probably waiting for us to talk about. United States, 5-1 win over Latvia, Canada 5-0 win over Czechia. I still feel really bad that Yuri Kulik wasn't able to, go and represent his country. I'm sure he was really looking forward to that. I'm sure they could have used him as well. Is there anything specific? I understand we kind of mentioned it is tough for us to watch these specific games, but not only for the games today. If you have any thoughts about them, go ahead. But just going forward, what's their I think we all know what their strengths are for the most part. What's the kryptonite for each team? Like, this is the reason why this team will not win a gold medal. If they don't win a gold medal, this will be the reason why. That's what I want to know your thoughts on the U.S. and Canada. If you want to throw Finland and Sweden in there as well, go ahead. But the big two are most important.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't even know if there's much separating these two teams where it's like, I don't know if a gold medal game would come down to much more than just like luck or a few bounces. Cause I think the layup answer would be like Canada's goaltending is a weak spot. But Jordan Bennington, every single time he puts on the Canada jersey, becomes a
Yeah,
completely different goalie. I mean, he
it's
got a
true.
shutout today. He played incredible in that Four Nations championship game. Like that overtime, US had so many chances to win that thing, and he was making incredible saves to keep Canada alive. So I think it's just going to come down to, just bounces in that championship game. And I do think, like, compared to the Four Nations rosters, I think Canada and US are both, better teams than they were at the Four Nations. I think Tom Wilson adds like an interesting element to that group, and then Macklin Celebrini, I I mean he's like a budding superstar at this point. Like being able
Right.
to add him to that team that's already really good is huge for them. And then I think Team USA, I mean they didn't have Quinn Hughes all of that Four Nations, and you could argue he's the US's best player too, even though he's a defenseman. So
Oh,
the fact that he's able to, be fully healthy and ready for this tournament, had a great game today. I think that's a game changer too. So I think these are just two powerhouses. Like I mean, I know Sweden gave Canada a tough time at the Four Nations. They beat the US in the group stage at the Four Nations, but it almost feels like Sweden's just a tier below these two teams, and then everywhere else, every other team falls like somewhere in that range below. But be interesting to see.
I mean, this goes back to when I was trying to get excited about what, maybe there's an upside or something like that. And I've mentioned this before, but it's that like flatline spectrum of sports where on this side it is the most luck based versus the most skilled based. And basketball's out here and football's a little bit closer to luck. But hockey was, of all the major sports, and baseball was up here too, was the closest on the luck scale where it's like, look, if you are a more skilled team, you're probably going to win, but you're going to see more upsets or like, wow, that team didn't, wasn't as good. Why did they win? Because it is more bounce based. So not only could that be the reason that a France beats Switzerland, a Latvia beats whomever. I want to get this right. A Latvia beats US kind of has a cupcake group, honestly. So
Yeah, that
I don't
group's
I don't
not
really
that
know.
great.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say. Then Italy beats Slovakia, sure. Um, and that's like you said, it's the reason why Canada could lose to the United States or vice versa in the gold medal game. So it's the game of hockey. It can happen in any game is the most basic answer. But those are what I'm looking for is like, look, is there a game where the bounces are going a certain team's way and it's a smaller tournament, so you don't really have like the momentum of like, yeah, we've been playing really good the last 2 weeks kind of thing. Who grabs hold of that and kind of rides that either through the rest of that game, or especially if it's a team that might be going deeper, like the big four that we talk about, are they able to kind of, this was their turning point and they turned on the Jets and here we go kind of thing. So that's what I'm looking for in the rest of this tournament. What about you? Are you looking at anything specific? You looking at specific players? I could start naming some names too, but we've kind of gone over what's already happened. It's only been one game, but now let's get into what we're looking for in the upcoming games that start at 6 a.m.
Yeah. I really just think like good hockey, because the NHL is 32
Nice.
teams right now. It's an extremely watered down league. Like when a lot of people talk about like hockey history, like, they're talking about a league that only had 6 teams. So a lot of the talent was, concentrated on those 6 teams. Now the talent's so far spread out. So I think to see a team like Canada where you had a goal that had like McDavid, McKinnon, and Crosby involved,
Yeah,
it's like that's the stuff that the sport should be like, kind of heavily pushing towards fans being able to see, is seeing all these stars in a meaningful game, like doing stuff like that. Cause I mean, seeing those three guys on the ice together is magic. And it's something that makes the sport of hockey that much more fun to watch. So yeah, I think for me, what I'm looking forward to is just like seeing stuff like that, like just that combination of players. Because, last time NHLers were in the Olympics was, over a decade ago at this point. That was pre McDavid in the NHL, pre Eichel in the NHL, pre Matthews. McKinnon was a struggling young player back in 2014. I mean, sure, he had a good rookie season, but I mean, he did go through a bit of a sophomore slump. So to see all of these guys in their prime be able to play at this stage, I think for me is the most exciting part. And it's what I loved about the Four Nations last year, too.
yeah, definitely bask in it. Bask in we finally have some best on best. I don't really know the best way of approaching this. I'm not diplomatic enough or smart enough, frankly, to tiptoe around this. So let's just elephant in the room. Russia's not part of the Olympics. Do you have any comments on that? Like, I think strictly hockey based. It's like that sucks. Really wish, especially Ovechkin's last chance. Like that would have been, and like if we're talking true best on best, like you have to have everyone. So like I'm not whether it's right or wrong, whether you agree or disagree. We're just talking about the hockey on the ice kind of thing. Is there anything that you wanted to maybe mention about that? I kind of forgot to bring that up. Didn't really
Yeah,
mean to.
well, I did have a tweet that went viral like yesterday. I didn't mean it to, but
That's how they usually go.
yeah, it was like Russia finished fourth, fifth, and sixth. It might not even be in that order, but it was those three finishes, like the last three Olympics where there were NHLers. So it's like, I don't know. I'm just so used to growing up seeing these Russia teams on paper. I mean, sure, they might not have the overall depth that they do now, but I'd argue back then more players would stay in the KHL, especially when they got older and just like retire there. So there's still some talent playing hockey there that could play in the NHL versus now. I feel like a lot of their guys just come over to the NHL and stay there. So I don't know. I'm just like I'm just so used to seeing these Russia teams on paper and being like, oh, they got Datsuk is a little bit older, prime Ovechkin, prime Malkin. Sergei Fedorov's older, but he's on the team. Like it's like these guys got to be a gold medal favorite, and then they like finish in like fifth place or sixth place. So it's like it's hard for me to say like a winger star heavy team could take down like the U.S., Canada, and Sweden. But I'm just not convinced of it. Like, sure, they have a great team on paper. I still think they're the clear like 4 or 5 in this
But
tournament.
I will say in a small tournament like this, the biggest factor for a team doing well is you get a goalie that just gets hot.
Yeah, I forgot about
There's
their goaltending. That's
dude.
definitely different than
Woo! You can roll out any one of those guys that they have on that projected roster that who came up with it? Oh, shoot. Who came up with that projected like Russia roster? It came out like a few days ago and like people were talking about it or I can't remember who it was. We'll just have
I
dead air if I end up trying
yeah.
to look it up. But
I mean, it would be
like
interesting to see because it's like those guys are really good, but at the same time, they're playing lineups that are much better than like I don't know, like the Columbus Blue Jackets on a Tuesday night.
on a Tuesday night and you're getting, Matthew Olivier,
Yeah,
cycling in the corner. Well, I mean,
yeah,
you kind of again, it's so weird to talk about because like there are teams where it's like, yeah, I guess it is kind of like Matthew Olivier or someone that's even worse than that because you have teams like Italy and France and ones that just
yeah,
aren't as they just I'm super happy they're in the Olympics. I hope it's an awesome experience. I hope like you saw Italy gave a great game and that's exactly what you want to see, but there's levels to this, unfortunately, and long prosperous hockey futures for France and Italy, but as of right now, that's where we're at. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Like I think the teams are so talented where it's like we saw in the Four Nations overtime. Like you make one mistake, it doesn't matter who your goalie is. If you have Marner and McDavid,
it's true.
like on a 2-on-1, they're probably gonna score. So it'll
Good
be it'll
luck.
be interesting to see though, like how Russia's goaltending those elite guys would fare against like a team like US and Canada.
Wonder, that like Devin Levi thing where he's like, I want that action. Like, what a great opportunity for me to go against the greatest people. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, say that if it's like a 3-on-1 where you have like Marner, McCarr, and McDavid, or like
Yeah.
Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid. It's like, oh, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I don't know. I don't want to say I don't want to be like there's an asterisk against if you win this one because it's like, look, there's still very good competition in this, but it does. I don't know. Just
Yeah. I mean,
it's just weird like having those guys out, and I like whether I understand it or agree with it, disagree with it. Like that's personal to you. I'm just personally like I just wish those guys were here just playing. I don't care. Just put them in those practice pennies that you get when you're playing youth hockey. I don't care. I just wish, you know, all of the best NHLers for these countries were there, but it's above my pay grade. That's for GD, sure. So I'm not going to say too much more about
yeah.
that.
Well,
Um,
I was just gonna say I do think like I know like kind of like North American hockey fans, kind of forget about European hockey fans a bit, and the Sabres have a ton of great fans over in Europe. But I wonder like how many people in North America would care if like the gold medal game ended up like not being US Canada. Like I just feel like you could say there could be like an asterisk like at the end of this tournament, at the end of this Olympic hockey tournament. But it's like at the end of the day, I feel like most people, at least in North America, just care about US Canada and who wins that game. And hopefully it's a gold medal game. I feel like that's almost what every Olympics boils down to for North American fans.
I haven't seen the knockout yet, and I think we probably will have another episode before the knockouts begins. I think. Don't hold me to that because
Yeah,
I
we
saw that
still
last
have
time. Everything fell.
playoff round February. Oh, playoff round though. I mean, US probably won't be in the playoff round because I think like every team qualifies for that. That would be on the 17th, and quarterfinal start on the 18th. So it'll probably be the US's first
Okay.
playoff
We
game.
can
Would be
we can probably
about a
rip
week from
another
now.
episode before the
Yeah,
medal rounds there. So I'd be interested to see who they, it would really stink if you get your US Canada, but it's for who goes to the gold medal game. And I'm like still be a good game and I would enjoy it and watch it obviously, but at the same time it's you want it to just be the gold medal game. Like the
yeah. I
winner is
mean,
the
you want to
ultimate
win.
winner.
Yeah, you want to win the gold medal at the end of the day. So I think that matters the most. But I'm just thinking like if the gold medal games like Sweden, Czechia, or something random, it's like I wonder how many people in North America care that much.
I think real hockey fans would be really into
Yeah, real
Sweden,
hockey
Finland.
fans.
Or I mean, real
Oh
hockey fans
yeah,
would be into any of it, but like Sweden, Finland, that's if you're going to have
yeah,
a non-US Canada one, that's the one I'm choosing. Or if you really want
yeah.
to get saucy, get like Switzerland versus Germany, and everyone's like, "What the? How did this happen?" So like, give me
I
one of
mean,
those. But
with the
yeah,
seeding though, you could get a weird combination. Like you were talking
yeah,
about Finland earlier with that loss to Slovakia. Like they lose to Sweden, they could be like a really low seed going into this, and they could play a really good team early and maybe pull off an upset.
yeah. I'm just happy. Like the World Juniors, like is great, but it just doesn't do it for me like the Olympics does. Remember
Yeah,
watching it as a kid and the Ryan Miller thing and Sidney Crosby and thanks 87. Appreciate you for that. But yeah, I remember watching it back in the day, even, when I was a real young kid. What was it? Salt Lake City. Remember watching some of that too. And I think Sochi was probably the last one in 2014. And
I remember how bad that U.S. team was in 2006. I just saw that roster the other day. I think I even have like a signed jersey from that team too. And it's like
wow.
looking back on that roster, it's like I forgot some of these guys even were good enough to play in the Olympics. But I guess 2006 was like big down year for US because you had like the generation of guys that were a little bit older past their prime that were still on that team, and then you didn't really have a ton of young guys coming up. Like Kane didn't come up to the NHL till like 2 years later. So
Yeah. I think that was probably, I mean, Canada, obviously, but it's probably like Sweden, right? On the back end of Sweden's domination, where they had like Lindstrom, Franzen. I'm just gonna start naming Detroit Red Wings at this point, but that's
I mean
yeah.
Philip
I haven't seen that roster,
not
but
Philip Forsberg, Peter Forsberg. Peter Forsberg was incredible
oh, he's so good.
like in that era. Like I'm just thinking about when he played against the Sabres in the playoffs on the Flyers. It's like this guy's like probably one of the best NHLers ever in my mind.
What did him in? Was it bad ankles? I think it was. He had like ankle issues. I mean, he still
I
had like a pretty
forget.
long career.
Yeah, he played for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it mixed up with Joe Sakic. I think Joe Sakic was the guy that had the it's like the snowblower injury or whatever. Wasn't that Sakic?
Oh,
He like
I
got his
remember
like
that. I
hand
think so.
caught in
Yeah.
like a snowblower or something
Yeah. Huh.
crazy.
Doing plenty of snow blowing this winter. Yeah, those things are nothing to mess with. Don't stick your hand in those.
Yeah, those things are scary. I'm afraid to even use one. Sometimes I just shovel because I'm like, this thing scares me.
Ugh. So I moved into a place, finally got my house. I always wanted to be a homeowner. Um, come to find out it's exactly what you think it would be, where you're like, holy crap, I didn't realize this could be an issue. But yeah, shoveled once. I was like, I can't do that
Yeah,
again.
no,
This
it's
is quite
tough.
the driveway. So back to the Olympics. Oh, last question I wanted to ask you. Walt, if people don't know, Walt will always find him at pretty much any exciting sporting event. Four Nations in Boston, Bills game in Denver, um, whatever else. How close were you to going to Italy and watching some Olympic hockey? Because of anyone I could ask, you have to be like, yeah, I actually was looking into flights and hotels and stuff like you have to be the one person I talked to that was like close to going. So, Walt, how close were you to going over to
Uh,
Milan?
Honestly, I've been considering it for like the past few years when I knew those would be in Milan because actually, even though my name's Walter, I am half Italian, and a lot of my Italian family lives like outside of Milan near like the Swiss border.
Oh,
So I would
okay.
have had somewhere to stay. I wouldn't have had
Oh
to get a
wow.
hotel, and I could have watched Olympic hockey. I think the more I watch it, the more I'm like, oh man, I really should have went to this. So I think at some point, I feel like I have to make it out to one of these Olympic hockey events because it just the atmosphere is so cool, and especially it being in Europe too, where all the fans of those teams like really aren't that far away from Milan. So
Yeah.
I just feel like you get a really cool atmosphere with all the fans. So
Get me I'm someone that like put me in that France versus Switzerland game, Latvia versus
yeah,
like Germany or something. Like get me into one of those. Like I would love to see US versus Canada, of course. Sweden versus Finland, of course. US versus Sweden. But give me in one of those. It's the same thing with like I've always talked to my buddies like if I go over to England to watch like football or soccer, whatever you want to call it. Um obviously go watch your big team, Premier League. I want to go see a seventh division team on a cold Tuesday night where it's just some woman pulling out Nestle things and making hot chocolate for people. And that's their snack bar kind of thing. Like, give me one of those experiences
yeah.
too. So, like, yeah, I would love to do that. I think the slow drip of that is next time, hopefully sometime World Juniors is close or in like a cool spot, maybe somewhere in Canada, United States, or something like that. So, yeah.
The big Buffalo Road Juniors actually had me and my dad got the ticket package, or I think he had like tickets to like every single game. I think I
Mhm.
pretty much went to like every single World Juniors game that
It's
year.
crazy.
And I even went to like I was like Belarus versus like Germany or someone I want to say there's like no one there. So you just like go all the way down to like a few rows up from the glass and just watch the
Yeah.
game down there. So yeah, I love like any international hockey game. So it's cool to see like some of these smaller countries and like how much it means to them too. Cause like hockey is like huge in Latvia. Latvia is just not a very big country.
Yeah.
And but it means a lot to them, and they're pretty good as a team as a whole. Like we saw them World Championships. They won a medal not that long ago, and
Exactly.
these guys know how to play as
They
a team. So I think we brought before playing as a team. I think Latvia is that team.
I forgot to bring this up. Thank you for mentioning that. World Championship. Oh shoot, was it 2023? I think they mentioned. I'm going off of memory from the broadcast, and again, remember I was listening while working, so forgive me. But it was like 17 or something players on that team, or on the Olympic team now. Excuse me, 17 players on the Olympic team now for Latvia were on that World Championship team. And that was the experience I was talking about. These guys have played with each other in international tournaments before. Whereas, like, yeah, of course, Canada, United States, they have a ton of skill, or United States is just really, really good balance with very impressive defensemen and good goaltending. But like like the Latvia team is exactly who I'm talking about because these guys play with each other all the time. Because it's how many guys are you going to be cycling in and out of that team? Not many, like you said, it's a smaller country. But when they got that medal, what was it, like a silver? I think they might have gotten a silver, I think it was. They got like a hero's welcome when they came back,
Yeah,
and
they
that's
went. They were
awesome,
going
man.
crazy.
That's
Yeah,
that's freaking sweet. Good for them. That's gotta be one of the best days for hockey in that country. That's awesome. That's great.
yeah,
So, like, that's kind of the excitement that I was feeling when I'm talking about, like, upsets or, like, it of course, it means a ton to people in Canada, US, Finland, and Sweden, but man, those hockey fans in Switzerland when they can pull off an upset or Norway or whatever. Like, that's got to be such an awesome feeling too. And that's actually something that we won't really feel as USA fans. We will feel it as Sabres fans because we've been down
Yeah.
bad for so long, but that is not what this
No,
episode's about right now. So
well, that's kind of the thing is like I feel like Sabres fans are really comparable to like these smaller countries, or even just Buffalo fans
true.
as a whole.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're like an American from like a larger metro area or whatnot, you probably like can't really relate to what it's like to be like a fan of a small market team or an underdog. But I feel like us as Buffalo fans, you kind of relate to like a smaller country like Latvia, uh, just playing as hard as they can and trying to win games and just having a ton of pride in your local team. So I think as Buffalo fans, I think it's the reason why we love like these smaller nations being these international competitions.
How many rap songs have there been made about career third or fourth liners?
Yeah,
There's only one.
I love that song.
That is
I remember
Zemgus Girgensons, baby.
during college, I was blasting that thing back in like 2015,
People
2016.
people in the dorm are like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so good. But yeah, like they love their hockey, and I'm such a big fan of those kind of storylines. So go Latvia, man. Glad it wasn't against the United States, but from here on out, do your thing. Have a ball. So, man, Olympics. Happy to have it back. Kind of like you mentioned, with especially with the United States and Canada, if they were to go out, it's really just going to be them kind of getting a couple bad bounces and not being able to recover there. I think also, a goaltender just having an off game. I mean, a lot of pressure on these goaltenders because they don't have, an 82 game season to kind of average things out. You have a bad game, you're in trouble. So, is there anything else Olympics wise that you really wanted to get into? We're pushing 40 minutes, and that's probably good enough for a just talking about the Olympics. And again, we will have another episode before the medal rounds.
Yeah, I think for me, I really just hope Tage and Darlene stay healthy. I feel like as a Sabres fan, that's probably the most important thing to me is that they have a good tournament, but also stay healthy at the same time. So you kind of really need them for these final 25 games when they come back. So, but I mean, both have looked really good so far too. So I mean, that's
Yeah.
definitely a positive as a Sabres fan because I feel like a lot of times we don't really get to see how our guys look with other great players on the same team because we haven't seen much like best on best hockey. So it's cool to see like Tage rising the occasion, Darlene rising the occasion when that Sweden team struggled. He was still thriving back there and had a key part in a bunch of their goals. So I don't know. It's fun to see.
If anyone knows how to keep an even keel if your team isn't playing well, it's Rasmus Dahlin. He's had about the most
Yeah, no.
experience I've ever seen it.
So we're losing to like a bunch of guys that played in the ECHL and then like became Italian citizens.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. You're like, yeah, he was born and raised in like Coquitlam, British
Yeah.
Columbia, and you're like, it's on the Italian team. Yeah, I mean, his great grandmother's like ex boyfriend was Italian, so now he's on the team. Like, I'm not making fun of the Italians. The freaking U.S. men's national team for soccer does the same thing. It's like you
Yeah.
sneezed in the general vicinity of the United States. Yeah, come on over and play for our
No,
team.
yeah, I love that Italian team because yeah, those guys they clearly knew there's a huge talent gap there, but they played as hard as they could that game. And
Yeah,
the crazy thing is too, they have like legit NHL prospect as their goalie and Damian Clara. So that's like
yeah,
it's like just a bunch of guys playing hard, and then they have like a legit NHL prospect in that, like a 21-year-old goalie. So yeah, it's an
him.
interesting team dynamic.
And then there's like a draft eligible defenseman for Latvia or something like that. I think he's like 18 years
Oh
old.
yeah,
And like,
Albert Smits. Yeah, he's gonna
yeah,
be top 5 pick probably in this draft. And yeah,
wow.
he's playing Olympic hockey. So that's
They've
cool to see too.
GMs have to be putting in a ton of stock into what a draft eligible player playing in the Olympics and getting this experience. There's some
It's like
GMs going to put
Slavkovsky,
in.
isn't it? Wasn't he playing like international hockey? The
Yes.
World Championships, I remember he did like incredible. And then I
Did
want
Owen
to say
Power?
Owen Power has played in the Olympics.
Did he
Pretty
play
sure.
in that Olympics or was he on the bench the entire time? I can't remember. Did he get a game?
I think Levi was on the bench the entire time.
Okay.
I gotta
I
look
have to
pull up
look
the
this up.
elite prospects real fast.
Olympic Games. Oh, whoa. Okay, yeah. Owen Power played 5 games. Excuse me. It must have been Levi I was referring
Yeah,
to.
yeah. Levi was one that was scratched.
Whoops. Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. We're just chatting about the Olympics. Nothing game breaking. I mean, it's been so long since Best on Best and Four Nations was just a small sample size. What are we? We're not breaking down too much, and they've only played 1 game. So, really interested to see how the rest of the preliminary round goes. Who's playing who in the playoffs and seeding and all of that. And yeah, Walt, I definitely think we should get another episode out before those games start. And you gave your last word, so I think that's it for this specific episode. Like I said, we are doing a double feature, so we will release this episode immediately. We're going to record a Sabres one, and we'll release that on the 13th. Excuse me. If my voice and my mouth is going to be doing that in the next episode, we might be in some trouble, but tune in and find out. So we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.